y'all, it is Sunday afternoon. Welcome to the start of a new bi-weekly reading vlog. I just wanted to come on here and do an opening clip. I am currently in the middle of a book called Find Me by Alifair Burke. Now this book is being read as part of that themed reading vlog. It is a vlog where I'm reading the lowest rated books on my TBR. I can say that in this vlog because this vlog will be posted well after the vlog style wrap up of those books. So I'll go ahead and talk briefly about the book right here, but again, there's going to be a whole vlog style wrap up for that, so I'm not going to go too in depth into my thoughts and feelings. So this is a suspense thriller that is focused around Hope, and 15 years prior to the start of this story, Hope was in a terrible car accident and it caused her to lose her memory and she never regained it. So she has spent the last 15 years in, I think it's called Hopewell, New York, trying to rebuild her life and establish new memories. And during this time, she established a really close friendship with the woman who actually found her and saved her life. But now Hope is kind of ready to branch out on her own, and so she's leaving Hopewell, moving to the East Hamptons. She wants to make sure that she can survive on her own, and she wants to go where nobody knows her, because in Hopewell, which is a very small town, she's notoriously, the woman that has no memory. And there were some suspicious things that the police found out after her accident, like she was driving a stolen car. So nobody really knows what Hope's background is, not even Hope. But Lindsay, who is that friend, becomes really concerned when she hasn't heard from Hope in a couple of days, which is really not like her. So she travels out to East Hamptons and finds that Hope is missing. She's gone without a trace. All of her stuff is still in the little place that she was taking care of. And so she begins to investigate. Her investigation leads her to find that there might be a connection between a decades-old serial killer case from Wichita, Kansas, and Hope's disappearance. And so she gets connected with a detective in New York who was the daughter of the person investigating that serial killer case in Wichita, the 25 plus years prior. So you're following Lindsay, you're following the detective, and there are a couple of other perspectives thrown in, but those are the main ones. And you're following Lindsay as she's just really trying to uncover what happened to Hope, what is that connection with the serial killer case, and so on. I will say that so far I am very much enjoying this story. It is very fast paced. It's one of those that is compulsively readable that you don't want to put down. I really just want to know what happens. And I think I'm going to try to finish it today. I think I can do it. I think at this point I have maybe an hour and a half left. And so I think I can do it. And then I will almost be done with the TBR that I've created for this vlog. It will be my 4th out of 5 books. I DNF'd the other one that I started, which was Fool Me Once by Ashley Winstead, and I got 12% in and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it because it was so politicky and focused on one side of politics versus the other. So she was basically calling one side evil and the other side better, but there was no context to that. So she was basically doing a blanket statement that one of these political sides is the dark side and her side was better. And I just think that's very misleading and misguided, and I don't like that. And I think it just is divisive rhetoric that adds to the turbulence that we experience in America. I'm going on a little rant here. I just hate that so much because neither side is perfect. Both sides are hugely flawed. We need to eliminate the two-party system altogether. And when you have a book like that is just throwing out this, okay, one side is bad, one side is good, that is totally wrong. It's totally wrong. And it's just furthering the divide. So I only got 12% in and I just decided to stop. And normally if I've only gotten 12% of the way into a book, I wouldn't consider it a DNF, but since I was specifically picking it up for a vlog and it was one of the lowest rated on my TBR and I'm not going to finish it, I'm considering it an official DNF. So that's the update. DNF'd one book, going to finish the other today, and then I only have one book left that I got to listen to for this vlog style wrap up, and then I can officially get back to providing full reading updates for this vlog. Aside from that, you probably saw the B-roll footage that I took yesterday. We went to this very small Celtic music and Highland Games festival that happens here every year, but we haven't yet been to it, and so we wanted to go ahead and check it out, and it was cute. Honestly, my favorite part was the candles. We found this really, really cute small business candle place, and these candles were fantastic. I loved the names and the scent profiles. They had cowboy and Wrangler and fall harvest and leather and just so many amazing scents. I think he said they have over 200 something scents. And so what I was smelling was only a fraction, but it took me 45 minutes to decide on the candles that I wanted. So I believe I took a clip of the candles and I'll leave the information down below, but I highly recommend that you check them out. Small business based out of Louisiana. The scents are phenomenal. Eco-friendly wicks, soy based. So I loved them so much. So that was my favorite part of that whole thing. But anyway, y'all, it is time for me to go make Sunday dinner and finish the chores around the house. I finished a very long video today. It was the second in my bookshelf tour series. It's going to take me forever to edit and I need to get back on doing that because it has to be up by Tuesday. But first I have to cook dinner and then finish the chores because I haven't focused on any of that at all. So I'm going to go do that and I will check in with you later. Hey y'all, it is Monday and I'm obviously at work. I was getting ready this morning and I realized a couple of things. first I realized that this whole time I've been reading, I haven't been giving you the prompts that the books have satisfied for my November TBR game. So let's see if I can remember it off the top of my head. The very first book that I read for November was The Dilemma by B.A. Paris, and that was actually a punishment prompt to read the lowest rated book on my TBR. Then I read Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt, and that satisfied the prompt to read a book club pick because that was the book club selection for November. So I was able to kill two birds with one stone with that one. Then I believe I read Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Malloy, and that satisfied the prompt to read a book with yellow on the cover. I had 3 other books on my TBR from that game. One I'm currently in the middle of, and I'll get to that in a second. And the other 2 were The Shadows by Alex North, which satisfied the prompt to read, I think it was a book box pick, if I remember correctly. And then Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. I can't for the life of me remember what prompt that satisfied. I will leave it on the screen below when I figure it out. I did decide not to read either The Shadows or Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. I started The Shadows. I got a few chapters in. I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't really what I was wanting. And then I just realized that I'm not going to be in the mood for Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. I'm just moved so far away from YA contemporary at this point that it's just nowhere close to anything I want to read. So I'm going to go ahead and unhaul both of them. And then the book that I'm in the middle of is Assassin's Apprentice, which leads me to the second realization I had today, and that is that I haven't actually given you guys any updates on my reading experience with that book, and that is because I was actually planning on doing a full vlog on my reading experience, but because that book is so slow burn, and I feel like it's a lot of contextual information and build up to what's going to happen, possibly later in the book or later in the series, I'm halfway through the book at this point, and my thoughts and feelings on it haven't really changed since I started. So what I want to do is I want to insert the clip here of when I was starting that other vlog, kind of telling you what the book is about, and then I'll come back and share some of my thoughts and feelings. Hi y'all, it is currently Wednesday, November 2nd, and I am starting this vlog to document my reading experience with Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, reading it for the very first time. I know that this is a very beloved book and series here on BookTube, and since this is my very first time with this experience, I wanted to go ahead and document it. I mentioned this previously, but I am buddy reading this. I am buddy reading this with Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, and we're just kind of taking the reading very slowly. We are aiming for about 1 chapter a day, and then that way there's really not a lot of pressure because, you know, we both read multiple books at one time, and we have other things going on like working and all the good stuff that comes with being an adult. So we're not really in a rush to finish it. We just kind of want to take our time and absorb what we are reading. So with that said, I have started the book. I am now 4 chapters in, which in my edition is 89 pages. I can say without hesitation that I really enjoy the writing style and how Robin Hobb is able to match the style and the tone to the time period. Just judging by what I've read so far and what I know of the book and the atmosphere, I would assume that this is set in like medieval or Middle Ages times, and the writing definitely reflects that. It is very well done and it adds to the atmosphere of the story, and it's still easy to follow even though it does have kind of an old-fashioned-y type of tone to it. I'm not to the point where I am fully absorbed or connected with the story. I find it to be an easy read in terms of easy to follow, but there's not necessarily anything that is jumping out at me or connecting me with the story at this moment, so I'm not propelled to continue. I haven't reached that space yet where I'm just dying to continue and dying to know what happens. It's a fairly slow start so far. From what I understand, just based on watching like Becca's vlogs about the series, is that a lot of the books can be this way with a lot of just tedious information sometimes, a lot of buildup, maybe a lot of context. So I'm just kind of going with it and waiting to see where it goes. So far, it's not a love thing and it's not a hate thing. It's just a, this is decent. I'm going to go ahead and continue and we'll see where it goes. So if you are unfamiliar with this series, which is probably not the case, I'm probably one of the only people that hasn't read it yet. This follows our main character, Fitz. And when he is just 6 years old, he is taken by his grandfather and he is left at the door of basically the royal palace, the people that run this kingdom. They are told that the child is the bastard son of Prince Chivalry, who is the king in waiting. So Prince Chivalry's father is currently on the throne, and then once his father dies, he is meant to take the throne. But after hearing of his bastard child's existence, he basically abdicates his rights to the throne and takes off with his wife, Lady Patience. And so Fitz is kind of left in the care of Borich, who who was considered Prince Chivalry's man. He did a lot of things for Prince Chivalry, like tending to his hounds and things of that nature. And so he is kind of left with Boric. And after a couple of years, the king actually decides that he wants Fitz to be trained to be an assassin. He wants to make use of Fitz. He wants Fitz to remain loyal to the kingdom and to the crown. And so he's going to go ahead while Fitz is young and put him to good use. And so we're just now entering the part of the story where he has been told that he's going to be training as an assassin. And so I feel like it's going to pick up a little bit from there. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Currently, I'm listening and reading the book at once. I think I'm going to continue that way for the time being, just so I know that I can continue to make progress. But like I said, I am almost 100 pages into the book already, and it's going well. I am currently dedicating my lunch break to listening to my chapter. So as long as I can continue doing that, then I'll definitely make great progress, and I'll be able to finish this book roughly in about 3 weeks or less, depending on if I am able to read more than one chapter a day. But so far, one chapter a day seems to be the pace, and we're just going to keep plugging away, and I will continue to do updates as I read. So hope you enjoy coming along for the ride with me and experiencing this for the first time. Y'all, I am just always covered in dog and cat hair. It's my life. Ugh. And I never realize it until after I'm done, like filming my clips. So I'm sorry if I'm covered in hair all the time. Anyway, as I mentioned, I'm about halfway through Assassin's Apprentice at this point. I really want to try to bust it out and get it done by this weekend. That is my current plan. I believe I have 9 chapters left. So if I read around 2 chapters a day, I can definitely do it. And so far, I'm still overall enjoying my reading experience while I'm in the middle of reading. But when I'm not reading it, I don't think about it and I'm not pulled to pick it up. So it's one of those that when I'm in the moment, it's great. But when I'm not reading it, it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm not even thinking about it. So there's nothing really hooking me into the book just yet. But when I'm reading the story, I'm definitely immersed. I still am very much enjoying the writing style and how it's very reminiscent of the time in which this book is set. I believe I'm at a point in the book where Fitz is about 14. So we followed him for about 8 years during his time tending the hounds and the horses and what he's learning, also his studies with other different characters. And as he is learning how to be an assassin, we haven't really seen a lot of that yet. Like he hasn't actually had to kill anybody yet or anything of that nature. So it's all very much him learning, him being introduced to different characters, him figuring out how to do specific things. And like I said, it's just a lot of buildup. We're just getting there. So not a whole lot has happened. It's just a really slow burn fantasy at this point, and I'm not minding it at all. It just means that I don't really have a lot to say on the book. So I don't really think I'm going to have a lot more updates on this book until I actually finish it. Like I said, I only have about 9 chapters left. So I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be finishing it pretty soon, and I'll be able to share more of my overall thoughts when it's done. So I'm still in the middle of that, and that's the absolute final book on my November TBR. Everything else is finished, and I've just been reading books for that other vlog style wrap up that I'm doing for the lowest rated books on my TBR. And I'm on the final book of that. And when I'm done with that, I'm just gonna have to figure out what I read going forward, because I will be done with absolutely everything on my radar for November, and we'll just have to figure that out. But for now that I've actually done those updates, I'm gonna go ahead and get back to work, and I'll check in with you later. Hey y'all, it is Wednesday afternoon. I'm about to head into the gym, but I wanted to pop on for a quick update. I'm sorry that there haven't been more updates, but since I was still reading books for that themed reading vlog, and I wasn't actually going to say much about them here anyway, I didn't really see much of a point. So I have officially finished the books for that vlog, and that vlog will be going up this Friday, which is the 18th, I believe. So I believe the last update I gave, I was reading Find Me by Alafair Burke, which I gave 4 stars. And then the final book for that vlog was The Last to Vanish by Megan Miranda, which I gave 3.5. So if you are interested in hearing my full in-depth thoughts about those books and what they're about, please go ahead and check out that vlog if you have not already by the time this is live. I will try to remember to link it up in the cards for you. The next goal is to go ahead and finish Assassin's Apprentice. I have less than an hour of listening time on the audiobook, so I should definitely finish it tonight, which I'm super excited about. It is definitely getting good. I'm a lot more invested and intrigued and pulled towards the story. And so now I feel like I'm a little bit more invested and I'm really enjoying it. There's still a lot of context and buildup and things of that nature that are going on. And it is still a very slow build, but overall I am enjoying it and will definitely be continuing. We may go ahead and read the second book in January, me and Sarah. So far, so good. Then once I finish Assassin's Apprentice, I will go ahead and pick another book to read. I've officially, of course, finished my November TBR and then the books for that themed reading vlog. So really I can pick whatever I want to pick. Also, something exciting that's happening today is that Robert and I are starting our holiday tradition of watching Christmas movies that we pick from a cup of popsicle sticks. So we have a mug that's full of popsicle sticks, and each popsicle stick has the name of a Christmas movie. I think we probably have somewhere around 40 to 50 Christmas movies in there, and we pick a stick, we watch the movie, usually split over 2 days because we watch it at night, and then we just continue to watch. So the very first one that we chose was The Holiday, which I love. That is such a cozy and heartwarming story. So we will definitely be starting that tonight, which I'm very excited about. We usually don't start it until after Thanksgiving, but we just finished Supernatural season 6, and we didn't want to start a new show knowing that we were just going to jump right into Christmas movies. So we're starting it about a week early, which is fine with me. More Christmas movies. Anyway, y'all, I gotta hit this CrossFit class. I'll check in with you later. Hey y'all, it's Saturday and I just wanted to come on and give you a brief update because I actually did start and finish a new book since my last update. The book was called Unspeakable Things by Jess Lurie. This is a new author to me. It's not an author that I was ever really familiar with prior to now, and so I wanted to go ahead and just give this one a shot. So this is supposedly based on true crimes that actually happened out in Minnesota where young boys were being sexually assaulted and let go. And I was thinking that this book would have more of a focus on those crimes, but that's not really the case. So this book is told through our main character, Cassie, and she's actually 12 years old, which right off the bat is a little bit of an issue for me because I have trouble reading books from a young narrator. It's one of the reasons why I don't really like middle grade all that much. I will say that I didn't find her voice to be too young to be one that I couldn't really relate to, but I still would have preferred this to be told from adult perspectives. So you're following Cassie as she's living her daily life, and she's hearing about the crimes that are happening, and they're indirectly affecting her just because she knows all of the boys that are being assaulted. So she's hearing about the crimes, she's trying to understand what's going on, and she kind of takes it upon herself to maybe look into it a little bit. But overall, that's a secondary plot line to this story. It really is. You're primarily just following Cassie through day to day and her family, because her family is a little bit problematic. Cassie does not like her father. She does not trust her father. She is afraid of him. She actually wants her mom to divorce him. He seems to be a very volatile man. He's a Vietnam veteran who definitely has some issues from his time in the war, and so he drinks probably more than he should, and it seems like he could get very temperamental, very angry at times. Cassie's parents also throw these sex parties at their house that Cassie and her sister Persephone are there to witness, which is definitely a concern. So that's really what this is. Her lamenting about the struggles with her family, and then here and there you're getting information about the crimes that are happening. And by the time I was done reading it, I was left very confused about what the overall point and purpose of the story was, because I felt like the crimes overall were very secondary as a plot point. It really was just about Cassie and her family. Now, near the end, it does get a little bit more relevant because one of the boys that is taken is actually not returned. Cassie is really determined to find that boy because it's the boy that she's had a long time crush on. And so she kind of takes it into her own hands to go find him because she thinks she knows who the perpetrator is. It really is just her living her daily life and lamenting about her family. And part of me was confused by that until closer to the end, because on page, her dad never actually really did anything. You did notice his temperamental side, you did notice his drunk side, but we were never really given any indication, like I said, until the very end about why Cassie was so afraid of him. Now, as a reader, you suspect why she's afraid, but no context is ever given to support that. And like I said, you don't see any of it on page. So I really just didn't feel like this was cohesive. I didn't really understand why there was so much focus on Cassie and her family, like why that was such a strong plot point if we were supposed to be focusing on the crimes. And if we were supposed to be focusing on the crimes, why wasn't there more of the crimes in the book? So overall, unfortunately, this one just really didn't work for me. I gave it a 3 stars. It definitely wasn't terrible enough to be a 2 stars because the writing was overall pretty good. And had this been executed differently, I think this could have been a really, really strong story. But by the end, I just didn't know what the point or the purpose was. And like I said, it didn't really feel all that cohesive to me. I think that there was something lost in translation. There was something that I was missing while I was reading. So it just didn't work. It's okay. 3 stars. I haven't picked up or started anything else. I need to figure out what I'm going to read, but today that probably will not happen because Robert and I are heading into Louisiana for the Renaissance Fair. It's actually several weeks long, and so we get to catch it on one of the weekends that it's actually open, which I'm excited about because I haven't been been to a legit Ren fair since I was very, very young, and I'm excited to go see what it's about, see the vendors, and just hang out and have a good time for a few hours. It is an hour and a half away, so we do have to go ahead and start getting ready to get going because we want to have several hours there before we have to head back and take care of the fur babies and feed them dinner and let them out and stuff. So that's the plan. I'll go ahead and take you along as much as I can today, and then when I actually have further reading updates, I will check back. Hey y'all, it is Tuesday morning, so it has been a few days since my last update. I kind of fell off the vlogging wagon, primarily because I was trying to let this monstrosity on my face go down a little bit. It was swollen and sometimes it could be a little bit uncomfortable to talk, but also I was really focused on filming and editing these 2 longer videos, and so that's what's taken my concentration. I haven't really been focusing on creating new content. I honestly don't really have much of an update. After I finished Unspeakable Things by Jess Lurie on Friday, I didn't actually start a book on Saturday because we were gone basically the entire day at the Ren Fair, and I did end up starting a book on Sunday, and I'm still in the middle of that book because I'm just kind of taking my time with it. I'm really not in a hurry at this point because I've already finished my November TBR. I have nothing else planned for the month, and I don't really want to read a ton of books because I don't want to have to do a huge wrap up. So the book that I started is Indelible by Karen Slaughter. This is the 4th book in her Grant County series. The Grant County series is set in Grant County, which is a very small county in Georgia. It is so small, in fact, that our main character, Sarah Linton, is both the pediatrician and the coroner for the town, and it follows her and Jeffrey Tolliver, who is the chief of police, as well as Sarah's ex-husband. And it follows them as they work on crimes together. And in this 4th book, it starts with somebody coming in and shooting up the police station. Sarah and Jeffrey end up as hostages in the police station, and so you're following that present-day timeline, and you're also flashing back to the early 90s, I believe, when Jeffrey and Sarah's relationship first started, which I actually find really interesting because we haven't really gotten a lot of that. We haven't really gotten a lot of context with regard to their past. I will say that the first 2 books in the series I didn't love. These definitely were Karen Slaughter's very first books, so I'm giving her some grace there. They are definitely not the caliber that I am used to seeing from her, but I actually really liked book 3, and now I'm really liking book 4 as well. So I think it's just going to get stronger and stronger. I'm excited that I'm now enjoying these books a lot more than I had been. Aside from that, y'all, that is really all the updates that I have for you. Not much else going on. Thursday is Thanksgiving. I plan on doing a 5K on Thanksgiving morning and then coming home to just cook a dinner for Robert and I while we watch Christmas movies. And then the weekend is going to be pretty busy because we are definitely going to be doing our Christmas decorating and then the normal errands that we have to do and things like that. And I'm also going to be starting the filming for Bookmas, which is where I post one video every day in the month of December. Sometimes there might be 2 videos going up in one day depending on if I fall behind or not. And I'm going to try to bust out a lot of filming over the Thanksgiving weekend since I do have 4 days. So that is the plan right now. That is really all the updates that I have. Not much else going on at the moment. I have no idea what I'm going to read after I finish Indelible, but I will be sure to update you when I have figured that out. In the meantime, y'all, I just got to go into work. Got several things that I have to finish and catch up on before the Thanksgiving holiday, so I will check in a little bit later. Hey y'all, happy Thanksgiving. I just wanted to come on here really quickly and wrap up the vlog. You will likely have seen a little bit of footage from the turkey trot I did this morning, which was such a fun time. I can't wait to do it again. I will absolutely be doing it every year. I did better than I thought I would, so I'm super proud of myself. And then I came home and I cooked a little Thanksgiving dinner for myself and Robert, and we started Christmas movie number 5 this afternoon. We are definitely on a roll with the Christmas movies. We're likely going to get through a ton this holiday season. Aside from that, I also finished Indelible by Karen Slaughter. Again, that was the 4th book in the Grant County series. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was another strong book in that series. I had a rough start with books number 1 and 2, but have really enjoyed 3 and 4, so I have high hopes for 5 and 6, and then I will be finished with that series and can move on to her Will Trent series. And I have gone ahead and started a new book. It's by Greg Olson. This is an author I've never read from before, but his book sounded intriguing to me, so I wanted to give them a try. I'm currently reading, I believe it's called The Sound of Rain. It's the first in his Nicole Foster detective fiction series. I don't know how many books are in that. If it's done, if it's continuing, I have no idea. But this is following, obviously, Nicole Foster, who at the beginning of the story is basically nearing rock bottom. She was once a highly respected detective, and then this case came along with the disappearance and murder of a missing little girl that kind of ruined her life because her partner, both romantically and professionally, ended up doing some shady things to try to coerce a confession out of a sex offender who he believed was guilty but might actually not have been, and it ended up getting him thrown in prison, and he kind of ended up taking Nicole down with him. And by that point, she had already had a gambling problem, which was just exacerbated after she lost her job. And so now she's really spiraling out of control. She's lost her house, her car, her dog. She really has no home to live in. Her sister won't take care of her, take her in or anything. So she's really on her own. But then one day she reconnects with the father of the girl that was missing and killed. And so she ends up working with him to try to solve what actually happened to his little girl, because Nicole does not believe the man that was ultimately fingered for it did the crime. So I'm having a weird experience with this one in that I find it very engaging and I'm very intrigued by the plot line. And when I'm reading it, I just kind of fall into it and I want to keep reading it, but really don't feel emotionally connected to it in any way, if that makes sense. Like there's nothing that's really connecting me to the characters. In fact, I find Nicole to be somewhat unlikable just because of how pathetic she can be at times, just with her addiction and the choices that she's making and things of that nature. I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of like redemption at the end of this. If there's more books in the series, I assume that she couldn't be a washed up detective for the entirety of this series. So I'm not really loving the characters, and I don't really think this is supposed to be a character driven story, with the exception of, focusing on Nicole because she is the main character and it is from her perspective. But other than that, I feel like it's very, very plot driven. So I'm not connected to it, but yet I'm having a good time while reading it. So we'll see how I ultimately end up feeling about this and whether I want to continue in the series. And my goal is potentially to finish it today, if not today, tomorrow. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this vlog here. I have a lot of footage that I'm working on editing. I want to go ahead and get everything edited so that I can get this uploaded in time for Sunday, so I don't have to worry about it anymore, because tomorrow is when I start filming for Bookmas, and I really don't want to have an outstanding vlog to worry about as well. So I want to get this up and done and ready to go so that next week Bookmas can start. So as of right now, y'all, that is all I got. I hope that you are having a wonderful Thanksgiving if you are in the United States and you celebrate. If not, I still hope that you are blessed and are feeling very grateful and loved this holiday season. And I will check with you at the start of Bookmas.